A couple of years ago, I went to the museum with my ex-girlfriend. She was my girlfriend at the time, but we've since broken up. Anyway, we didn't want to pay for the actual museum, so we just went to the Butterfly Center. I thought that was probably a better choice because the museum is like this cold, dead space, whereas the Butterfly Center is warm and full of living things. My favorite part of the Butterfly Center has always been that little area before you go into the main exhibit where there are a bunch of little terrariums. It's called the Insect Zoo, which is really a clever way of saying bug jail. Confined animals always look like prisoners to me, especially the smart ones, but bugs are pretty stupid, so they probably don't care. It's not like you can look into a bug's eyes and see the pain of imprisonment, like you can with a gorilla or an elephant. Bugs' eyes tell us nothing, really. They're blank and unforgiving, like nature itself. So anyway, me and the ex buy our tickets. We're heading to the Butterfly Center, and we walk by the McDonald's in the lobby of the museum. And there's this line that is just fucking out of control. I mean, snaking through the restaurant, down and out into the lobby, people camped out next to the wall like they're waiting for the new iPhone. It's insane. Parents will suffer such massive indignities in order to placate their children. If I had kids and they were bugging and pestering me for some shit like that, I'd like to think that I'd have the emotional cojones to tell them to just suck my dick. And those people there with their chubby, whiny kids and their absurd fanny packs and cargo shorts bulging with overpriced plastic garbage from the gift shop just reminded me so much of animals. I mean, I know we are animals, but they didn't seem like top of the food chain type animals. They didn't seem to represent mankind as the pinnacle of evolution, at least not as the museum wants us to believe we are. But whatever, I'm no better. I eat McDonald's sometimes too. And I'm sure they were fairly decent people. Of course, odds are at least a few of them were murderers. That's true about any group you might be in. Do you ever stop to think about how many people you meet on a daily basis that are murderers? There are probably a couple in this room right now tonight that have killed someone. Could have been accidental, or in combat, or in self-defense, or for revenge, or for pleasure. That's the worst of all. But like some philosopher guy once said, if you ever want to see a killer, all you need to do is look in the mirror. So we made it into the Butterfly Center. It was okay. They changed the insect zoo since the last time I went. Before it used to just be bugs in terrariums. There wasn't much in the way of spectacle. The bugs were big and creepy and basically just spoke for themselves. But now they've reworked it into some kind of little kiddie playground to learn about the science of bug collecting. All the exhibits were interactive, and the bugs themselves seemed almost like an afterthought, an unsightly spectacle shuffled out of the way so that the museum could teach kids to marvel at the science of studying insects rather than the insects themselves. The amazing diversity of the natural world on display in tiny plexiglass cages isn't enough, no. Instead, we have to marvel at ourselves and our ability to study these creatures and our ability to design interactive cages. So anyway, we saw the rest of the exhibit, and the loamy smell of the rainforest really made me want to get high. So we decided to go smoke a joint on top of the parking garage. Hey. We're sitting on the trunk of my car smoking when a car pulls up and parks. I wanted to put the joint out, but the ex just keeps on hitting it. A lady and two kids get out. One of them, a boy, probably 3 or 4 years old, stares at us in the way of a kid not old enough to comprehend his own rudeness, with a sort of blank curiosity, the cold gaze of a being who doesn't yet fully know that it is one. Max holds out the joint in a gesture of offering to the kid. Mom turns around just in time to see she's obviously not amused, But she doesn't say anything. She just walks to the elevators with her dumb brood in tow. We left and we went, excuse me, I'm going through puberty again. We left and we went back to my ex's place and tried to have sex. I mean, we had sex, but I couldn't finish. It actually happened a lot when we were together. I think it had something to do with the way she smelled during sex. You know, it's always a little funky the first time you do it with a new person, but pretty soon you get to know them and grow to like the way they smell, you know, that musty animal-like smell. Well, she just never stopped being funky to me. And it's not like she was dirty or something. It was just her scent. I never got used to it. I've been with other girls and enjoyed the funk, but with her, I didn't. I chalked it up to animal nature or something, or maybe fate, I don't know. She used to hint at marriage a lot, but I always told her that contentment is a cage, and that I didn't want to settle down or any of that crap. Well, this last week, I heard that she and her husband are expecting a baby. I'd say that I'm happy for them. I mean, I'm not happy. I mostly just feel numb about it all. You know, on the one hand, I'm jealous of her happiness, and the other, it seems like a real pain in the ass, so I'm kind of relieved it was the other guy. But let's be real, I want to procreate. I think about it, and it's for the same reason that those bugs and butterflies and people at McDonald's do, because it's a biological imperative. But some feelings, maybe even most feelings, but especially romantic ones, don't come from the heart. They're just a weird mixture of our body chemistry and our culture telling us that having kids will imbue our otherwise meaningless lives with something profoundly meaningful. But a weird consequence of having kids is that once you've become a breeder, you start to understand and appreciate the strength of cages, both real and figurative. They protect you and the deadly little creatures you helped create. Soon building cages becomes a joyful enterprise, and you're so happy to have so much so close around you all the time, surrounding you with love and care and protection. And you love it too for a while until eventually that closeness starts to grate on your nerves, and you start to believe that love is just some middle ground between the competing fears of isolation and smothering. Then one day, you find yourself standing in an absurdly long line at McDonald's buying processed meat stacks for your family and looking like a sad caged animal, and you don't even care. Ruth.